hopefully perhaps a few more will come along. If I've got a little bit of reading that I've been given, obviously to warmly welcome you, which I would have done anyway, to Keynsham Area Forum. For those who don't know me, I'm Alan Hale, I'm chair, and my deputy is Adrian Inker, and we're both here. This meeting, as you might have gathered from the conversation with Mark, is being recorded and will be placed on the council's YouTube channel. If you do not wish to be seen, please turn off your camera, but equally we would encourage people to put their camera on. It's a bit more sort of, I don't know, inclusive. And also, can I remind everybody to keep background noise to a minimum, to only speak one person at a time, and not to speak over others. Please mute your microphones when not speaking, and then unmute when I invite you to speak. Please indicate you wish to speak by raising a hand or typing "May I speak" or MIS, "May I speak," which I think is probably well known by all of you. Please do type your name in the chat so that we know who has attended, so that we have a record. And introduce yourself if you're called to speak. We are aware that this may be the first time at an area forum for some of you. These are public meetings that bring together residents, ward and parish councillors and community organisations to discuss topics of local interest and help address areas of concern. And if you aren't aware, there are forums for Bath-Avon, Chew Valley and Summer Valley areas as well. And in Bath, apparently we are currently, well, not apparently, I'm told we are currently trialling a series of community conversations in various wards. We're also keen to hear your views and suggestions for agenda items. So that's the lead-in bit. I mean, because we're online, I won't tell you where the fire escapes are, because I'm sure you're very familiar with the room around you. Apologies have been received from Councillor Fox Bowen of Whitchurch Parish Council. Updates are local plan. Bath and North East Somerset Council is relaunching conversations with key stakeholders on the resetting of the local plan and call for sites for future housing and employment development. We have a briefing note from planning which will be circulated with the update after the meeting. It outlines the current work, next steps and proposed engagement with parish and town councils and other community representative groups. These will recommence in May, June, and it's anticipated that an options document will be reported to Cabinet in July to be followed by a full public consultation. That would be in late summer, early autumn. Comments on the options document will be carefully considered in moving towards the draft local plan to be taken to council in spring 26. Planning colleagues are very grateful to the parish and town councils that have undertaken HELA site assessment work. This feedback will be incorporated into their consideration of options. They recognise that some parish and town councils are still working for these assessments or on these assessments, and will continue to discuss this with the individual parishes. Further information is in a briefing note which will be circulated after the meeting. So that's a rather long leading, so I'm sorry about that, but it's a little bit of information. So let's move into the body of the meeting. And first of all, it'll be a police update, and we'll all try to keep to time if we possibly can this evening. And so what we have is 10 minutes for certainly James, I know, is here from the Keynsham Community Policing Group, and essentially the area forum meetings also provides an opportunity for public services to engage, and obviously the police is here. I don't know that we have attendance from the fire service, but we sometimes do, and the police have a standing item on each forum agenda, but as I say, other services are more than welcome should they wish to come. So, James, you're there somewhere. Over to you.
Thank you, Alan. Yes, I'm James Evans. I'm one of the beat managers that covers Keynsham and the surrounding areas into the Chew Valley now for the Keynsham policing team. Just to give you a bit of an update on the crime figures. So what I generally do at these meetings is try and give you a sort of structured 3 month on 3 month look back over the last year, reflective of the months that we have, rather than going back on the addition on sort of the previous months. Otherwise, you don't get a true reflection of crimes and how they change due to the sort of weather conditions, time of year. And the other variants. So from this year to last year, we're down. We've got a 10% reduction on all reported crime, down from 434 down to 391 reported crimes. I'll just go through the highlights in relation to that. Really, there's been a in violence offences, and there's a massive plethora of incidents that come under the violence sort of umbrella. We've seen a 5% increase. 5% is negligible due to the amount of reported, which was 162. And we've obviously upped our reporting and made it a lot easier for people to report crime. So therefore, we were always likely to see an increase in some of the crime that gets reported. We've also been working on our VORG stuff, which I'll go through shortly. The sort of more primary crimes that we talk about, theft is down 35%. Criminal damage is also down 37%. Public order offences are slightly up at 15% raised. Burglaries are down by 45%. So we went from 34 reported in the last sector through to 19 on this one, which is a significant decrease. Drugs offences are also down quite considerably. Drugs offences fluctuate massively due to our amount of proactive policing. It's a proactive sort of element, really, our drugs rather than reactive. And unfortunately, due to the time of year and the staffing levels that we've suffered with coming through Christmas, we don't have the time to be as proactive as we might want to be. Sexual offences, we've had a reasonable increase in that. We went from 11 in the last sector through to 26. And again, a lot of that can be down to the reporting, the fact that we've made it easier to report information to us. And again, due to the minor numbers, of reported offences, if one person reports a significant issue that they've had with a partner or with a certain person, there can be 5, 6, 7 crimes easily reported by that one person. So that again can end up skewing our figures slightly. The antisocial behaviour, which is obviously always a topic of conversation, is down, and we've seen a significant reduction in that, which is down it's pretty much half now, down by 52%. Again, there was 117 reported incidents last year, down to 57 this year, so that's a significant drop. We've been doing a reasonable amount of work around the high street and to try and make these incidents be less attractive to people, and that would be less of an attractive location for antisocial behaviour to occur. We've also utilised some of our Operation Hold and Operation Habit, which are high visibility patrols in our problem areas, where we get staff that not necessarily work in Keynsham, usually to come and conduct patrols in and around the high street in our areas of high issues. That's obviously worked pretty well for us at the moment. That is going to be ongoing going into the summer, and due to summer demand, we'll see how that pans out. But we plan to carry on conducting those sort of more prevalent patrols to keep that reduced down on the high street and make it a safer environment for people to be in. The other couple of issues just to bring up with yourselves are that we've had a number of our shops that have been suffering from offences of theft, whereby we've identified a couple of offenders that have been targeting Keynsham. One of them's due to be arrested tomorrow and come in and to be dealt with for numerous offences, and then they're looking to be served an order to stop them coming to Keynsham, in essence, because they've got no reason to come here apart from to commit crimes. So we're going to try and prevent them from coming to the area. And then moving on from that, the Keynsham as a whole, working with the town council, and Dawn will probably be aware of this because it's come through Catherine, her oppo, in relation to what's called the new DISC sort of setup, which is to help shops identify offenders, share that information through social media, it's a social media style platform, but it's reduced to the people that are going to be involved in it, so the shops, and we've got access to it as well, whereby we can try and identify offenders and deal with them probably more effectively and more promptly before issues manage to continue and get bigger. The other thing that we've been promoting as a force is our VAWS, which is violence against women and girls, and we've been implementing tools in relation to that, to do such as the Street Safe app, which is an application that's been running for a little while now, whereby people can go onto it, identify locations that they don't feel safe or they think have an issue, and then what we'll do as the police or certain officers will go out and meet them and do a walk and a talk in relation to that location, look at what the problems are, look at where they're not happy, look at how they don't feel safe, see if there's anything we can do in relation to that, see if there's anything geographical that can be changed with the environment that is, whether that's additional lighting or things like that. And then we can obviously look to try and reduce the concerns of locations that people don't feel safe in and around our local communities. In a nutshell, that's pretty much it from us. I've had to work from somebody else's notes due to my commitments this week and not being able to pick this up a little earlier because I was sort of chucked in at the deep end. So unless anybody's got any specific questions about increases or decreases in areas of crime, then I'll just take questions. I can see Martin, you've got your hand up.
Okay, Martin.
Yeah, just to say that there is going to be a public meeting about women's safety on the 10th of March, and I think Rob's coming to that, along with Claire Moody, who's the Police and Crime Commissioner. It's 10th March, 7 o'clock in the Key Centre, and I think if you could promote that to women, it is a women's only event, apart from Rob from the police who will be attending. So we've got a lot of publicity, so if anyone can help publicity, that'd be really good.
Yeah, that's noted, Martin. Have you gone out to the Keynsham Voice with that?
Yeah, it's in the Keynsham Voice and the weekend. Yeah, it should be going in March, Keynsham Voice.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, I can put some information up around our police station, but yeah, I was aware of that events that were coming.
Okay, thanks, James.
Thank you, Martin. Any other questions? Oh, Duncan, you got your hand up.
Yeah, very quickly. James, a couple of questions to do with Corston. Are you able to give any feedback or information about that nasty incident where the young lad was abducted, and I think you found him in Brislington just a few weeks ago? And also I'm hearing from people in Corston they're finding nitrous oxide canisters in bulk and bags around the place. I wonder whether there's any issue there that you're aware of. Thank you.
So in relation to the first one, the abduction, I've not been cited on the investigation into that, and I don't know how ongoing it is. So it wouldn't be sort of prevalent for me to discuss that at the moment without having the right information and what I can disclose. So if you leave that with me, I'll see what information I can get from that and bring it to the next meeting, if that's all right. And although I can tell you that my understanding is it's an isolated incident. This is not a random incident. It's an isolated incident with known involved parties. The Corston in relation to the bulk nitrous oxide packaging and whereabouts is that actually being located? Do you know?
Right. One location mentioned to me was by the church gate.
Okay.
And it was larger canisters. It wasn't just the small ones for sort of individual use. It seemed to be bigger canisters.
So what we see quite often with those, and even the small ones, in fairness, is that people utilise them in a vehicle in a certain location, and then quite often just park up and dump them somewhere because they don't want to dump them where they've been using them because they like that location to for want of a better term, do balloons. So what they quite often do is when they're driving to and from, they stop off and just dump these things, and we see, I say, like static piles of them, where they look like they've clearly been dumped out of a vehicle. So I would suggest that's probably going on. We haven't had reports of those being used in that location. There's a very distinctive sound, like a quick air escaping sound from a cylinder when they're being used. And because Corston's so quiet, I'd be amazed if someone's using a lot of it without somebody there noticing and letting us know. And I've not seen anything of that being reported at that location. So I would like to hope they're just being dumped there. Not that that's a good thing, but that obviously that they're not being used at that location.
Okay, thank you. Andy Wait.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. Mine's not a question, mine's a comment. I mean, I think it's really, really helpful and good that the crime figures seem to be generally dropping after the summer of 23, when it was a bit like bandit country in the high street, and working with the town council and other agencies, we certainly seem to have made a difference. So I think you deserve credit working with the community and actually making the place safer because of it. So well done.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it'll be comparable figures to this summer, so let's not jump on it too quickly and hope that it keeps going the right way. But yeah, thank you for that, and I'll pass that on to the team.
James, can I finish with one question then? Are you doing anything about illegal electric scooters?
We do stuff about illegal electric scooters. The issue for us is location, stopping people safely, and then obviously being able to utilise our powers under the Road Traffic Act, which is the offences that they commit them under by using these things. Depending on the age, location, time of day, and what they're using them for, depends on how we deal with them. There is an element of discretion that's allowed, although we do look primarily, especially if it's used to remove them, take them home. There can be a warning system that we operate generally before seizure, although we can go straight to seizure depending on how they're being used and in what environment. So it is something we actively deal with. The issue is if somebody's on one and they don't have a helmet on, we won't get permitted to pursue them. We class it in the police because if they fall off and have an accident and have a serious injury, then we're going to end up being liable for that. And the what we class as the threat, harm and risk for that is not proportionate for that sort of action and that sort of outcome. So we will deal with them, but we have to deal with them in a controlled way.
It always seems an odd thing to me, because if you stop somebody driving a car with no insurance who might kill somebody, the car is seized. If you stop somebody on a scooter, you take him home. But anyway, that's
that can be the case. I did say it's not always the case. It can be. Okay,
Yeah.
I've seized a number of them over the last couple of years. And that's what we try and do.
all right, James. Thank you for this evening. It's very kind of you. By all means, stay if you want to, but equally, feel free to go and we shan't be offended.
I will leave. If anybody needs anything, if you go onto the Avon Somerset website, click on the community pages, you can send us a message through and we can help.
All right, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're moving on to the community showcase, a 15-minute slot. And this is basically for groups that want to come and present to us. Then this gives them that stage, if you like, for want of a better term. So this evening we welcome Vicky Cracknell, who is the outreach coordinator for Avon Needs Trees, who will speak about the Great Avon Wood and Lower Chew Forest. And I'm told that she's joined by Matthew Smith, who will speak about the landscape recovery in the Lower Chew project. Matthew, you must be on a different screen, unless Mark can see you.
He's definitely here.
Yeah, okay. All right,
Yeah,
well,
here,
Vicky, you're going to go first, are you?
Yes, I am. So, Mark, are you able to share our presentation? Ah,
There we go.
thank you. That's great. So, yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to join the meeting. My name's Vicky Cracknell, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator for Avon Needs Trees, and I'm joined by Matthew Smith, who's our Natural Capital and Nature Finance Lead. So we're going to talk about Lower Chew Forest, which is our new site near Compton Dando, and also explain about landscape recovery for the Lower Chew. So if you could go to the next slide, please. Before we talk about Lower Chew Forest, I just wanted to let you know about another woodland that we have in the Chew Valley. It's called Great Avon Wood. It's just north of Pensford and very near Poblo. We got the site in 2022 and it's 113 acres. So we've spent the last 3 winters planting 35,000 trees there, and they've all been planted by volunteers. So we're really proud of that project. It's really starting to take shape now. We have a community tree nursery, which has been set up in partnership with More Trees Baines. We've done lots of outreach, working with communities from Bristol City. We work with Inter University in Withywood and Young Bristol in Stockwood. And we've had lots of community events there as well. So next slide, please. So I wanted to talk to you about Lower Chew Forest, which is our latest site. We're really excited about this project. So we've purchased over 400 acres of land, and it's just south of Compton Dando, directly north of Hun Street, and to the west of Marksbury. Over the next few years, we're going to establish a mosaic of habitats at this site, and I'm going to talk to you a bit more about those in a few minutes. Our ambition is that we're going to establish a woodland of 100,000 trees and shrubs, and this will be the largest new woodland in the southwest for a generation. We've already begun work on putting in 4 kilometres of new hedgerows, and we're also going to introduce 5 kilometres of permissive paths on the site. Could I have the next slide, please? So this is Lower Chew Forest. Some of you may know it as Wick Farm, if you know the site. So planning is underway, and we're really, really excited about it. So on this plan, which I'm really happy to email around afterwards, I just wanted to give you a sort of overview of the site, really. And the main thing I wanted to start with is the fact that we are planting a forest, but that certainly doesn't mean that it's going to be closed canopy woodland across the site. The forest is actually lots of different habitats, some of which are really open, as well as denser wooded areas. And I think the new forest is a good example of this, where there's plenty of big open spaces, including grasslands and wetlands. So on the map, the darkest green patches are existing woodland that currently cover about 10% of the site. And then the largest new area of woodland groves is on the west, which is on the left of this map, where you can see the mid-green colour. And around the woodland groves, we'll have woodland edge where we plant shrubs. So we're trying to mimic nature there. So you've got the gradual kind of smaller species on the edge there, where there's more light. And then our site borders with existing woodlands like Lord's Wood, which I'm sure you all know. So on the western side, again on the left of that map, we're actually going to allow natural colonisation. So we're going to allow the tree seed from neighbouring woodlands to start to grow on our site and create trees that way as well. So we're looking at lots of different methods. We're also creating large areas of wood pasture where we'll have sparse planting, and it means that we can provide shade for livestock that are grazing there. So on the map here, those are a sort of paler green with little dots on. And then if you look at the northern part of the site, that's the easiest place to sort of point this out. There's lots of cream areas, and those are where we've already sown species-rich grassland. We've actually put in 36 species of wildflowers and grasses, and those are sown in the autumn. So those grasslands will be used obviously to create a great habitat for biodiversity, particularly for pollinators, and they'll be maintained through grazing or cutting for hay. And in that area along the northern border, you can see green lines in creating squares, and those are historical hedgerows that we've put back in. So these were very big open areas, and we've actually been this winter planting the hedgerows and recreating what used to be there. And obviously hedgerows create another fantastic habitat. I wanted to point out right in the middle of the site, there's like a brown area with red dots on it, and that's actually going to be a 16-acre orchard. And just to the north and east of it, you can see pale green, dark green lines, and that's actually going to be silvo-arable, where we will be planting lines of trees and then growing crops between them. So there's some really exciting opportunities here to look at different kinds of regenerative agriculture on the site. You can probably see there's a few blue areas, and there's one on the northern edge, and then there's some more in the centre, just to the west of the centre. And those are wetlands, where we're going to be looking at areas that are already naturally wet and enhancing them and providing natural flood management in those areas. So when Lower Chew Forest is established, approximately 60% of the total area will be wooded. And this obviously includes the orchard and the wood pasture trees. And then 40% will be open grasslands and wetlands. Just before I finish talking about this map, I wanted to point out the pink dotted lines on it. So where there's green dotted lines, those are all the existing public rights of way. And we're going to be working with Eddie Proctor at Baines on improving those existing public rights of way. But we're also putting in 5 kilometres of new permissive paths across the site, because although we want this to be a haven for wildlife and nature, we also want it to be a place that people can enjoy. And in particular, I wanted to point out on the western side, we're putting in a 2-kilometre loop, which we hope people will really enjoy as a way to access the woodland as time goes on. So that is Lower Chew Forest, our 422-acre site, just south of Compton Dando. And I'd like to hand over to Matthew now, who's going to talk about landscape recovery. Oh, head planting started. I had one more slide. This is the funny thing about not having access. We've started, yes, we've been putting in a lot of hedgerows. So more planting is going to be happening from the start of March if anyone would like to get involved. Hopefully now it's going to be Matthew's slide.
Let's see, next slide. There we go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Smith. So my title is Natural Capital and Nature Markets Lead. So for those of you who don't know what natural capital means, it's a conceptual way of looking at the environment. So when you look at the environment, how is it delivering benefits or value to human society? So that may be extractive values, say soils produce crops or forests produce timber, but then there's also say non-utilitarian values. So, you know, sense of place, you know, spiritual inspiration, and all of those have different values, and they may be, you know, valued through market mechanisms using pounds, shillings and pence, or they may have other ways in which we can value things such as how you know, how places make us feel, or indeed how public access helps to deliver benefits such as health and community cohesion. So that's natural capital, and nature markets is really around how do we use existing economic mechanisms to help pay for restoration and conservation of nature. Now, landscape recovery, it kind of says, it's kind of obvious, but in and of itself, it is a new project which is funded by DEFRA as part of the environmental land management schemes, the subsidy schemes which landowners, farmers are paid to manage the land. And this is kind of the highest level of new subsidy scheme which DEFRA are proposing. And at the moment, there are 55 projects across England, of which we are one. And I'm just going to explain a bit around that. If I can have the next slide, please. So the core principles of landscape recovery in the Lower Chew, but actually landscape recovery as a whole across England, is that it's looking at how we join up the landscape. So traditionally, subsidies looked at a farm by farm basis. What this is doing is looking at a landscape and how farms and different areas can work together to deliver multiple benefits for nature and for people. The idea is to secure long-term funding. So it's looking at 20 plus years of funding, and that it's landowner led. So we're talking to 6 landowners, including Avonese Trees, who makes up the 7th landowner, as to how landscape recovery fits within the existing farm businesses that make up our project area. If I could have the next slide, please. So our project's overview, we're covering just over 1,900 acres within the Lower Chew Valley. As I said, there's 7 landowners, 6 are commercial farms, and one of them is ourselves. And Vicky's already introduced the sites that make up our part of the project. And the main goals that our projects are looking to contribute to is delivering a thriving rural economy with our farmers and with our landowners at the centre of that, looking at how we can restore nature, as well as ensuring food security, and considering how a changing climate is going to affect those landscapes, and how those interventions, working with nature and working with farming systems, can make our landscapes more resilient. And when I say resilient, we're thinking about how we can control microclimates and how we can look at interventions such as natural flood management. Could I have the next slide, please? So just a bit on natural flood management, and this is really a kind of a key secondary goal that we're delivering through, in collaboration with the Bristol and Avon Rivers Trust. So they're focusing very much on the riverine and freshwater environments. And the kind of interventions we're looking at are things such as leaky dams, and they're kind of structures which you'll put inside a watercourse, which during events of high water flow, such as rainstorms, it slows the way in which water will move through the system. We're looking at wetland creation, which will expand the amount of areas which will store water and the capacity for water storage, but also that increases areas for nature as well, and restoring those corridor habitats. And when I say corridors, it's those we say riparian or river, those areas that border river channels, and they not only provide really important habitat for pollinators and for wildlife, but it also reduces runoff from the land. So it reduces the amount of sediment that can get into the watercourses and block those watercourses, but also any pollutants, nitrogen, phosphorus that may run off of the farmland that gets into the watercourses, which then prevents not only water pollution, but the cost of cleaning that water by the water company. Can I have the next slide? So just a little bit about our role as Avon Needs Trees within this landscape recovery project. We're the single legal entity, so we actually hold the relationship with the Environment Agency. We are managing the project with the landowners, and we're also coordinating the submission of the final business plan, which is being co-created with our landowners for the project area within the Lower Chew. And as Vicky's kind of pointed to the land area that we possess, that makes up 422 hectares, of which Great Avon Wood is 113 hectares. So the Lower Chew Forest was the area that Vicky was talking you through. I think there may be one final slide. And this is the proposed area. This is actually 6 of the land holdings, and there's now a 7th land holding that has come on board, which is just above Lower Chew Forest. But it gives you an idea of the land. You can't quite see, but Pensford sits right in the middle of those kind of core blocks. And Compton Dando, as you've seen on the other map, is just above the Lower Chew Forest. So that is the complete land area which is under focus for landscape recovery within the Lower Chew. Next slide. And what we're inviting people to do within our local community is to share any thoughts and ideas around what you would like to see within your local countryside over the next 30 years. Now, if you've got a mobile phone, you can by all means scan that QR code, or if not, if you Google Avon Needs Trees and you go to our landscape recovery page, you'll see in there that there is a link which will take you to a survey. And we really are, and please do share that with friends, family, other community members. And we really do welcome your thoughts on landscape recovery, because fundamentally it's about being landowner-led, community-led, and it's, as Vicky said, we're creating one of the largest forests for a generation, and we need to make sure that we're capturing the community's views to make sure that this is suitable for generations to come within our local areas. So I'll leave it there, and I think we're going to open it up for any questions that people may have.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
I have a hand up from Chris Hounsell.
Oh, she's on mute. Chris, you're on mute.
You're on mute, Chris.
Still on mute.
Here we are. I'm unmuted. Yeah. Yes. The paths that you're putting in, will they all or part of them be accessible to people with limited mobility?
Yeah, so we currently are looking at putting in conventional footpaths, but also hoping that within the scope of the landscape recovery project, there might be the possibility to put in some areas with more accessibility. And certainly that's something that access to the countryside in every sense is something that the landscape recovery team have been looking at very closely. So there's lots of scope for that. At the moment, we're very focused at the Lower Chew Forest specifically on planting the woodland, sowing the grasslands, putting the hedgerows back in. We've already started having conversations. We've spoken to a group of parents from Compton Dando about the 2-kilometre loop. Is there scope there for that to have some kind of surfacing on it so kids could ride their bikes or, so there's
push chairs.
This is a long-term project.
Yeah.
Just in the next kind of 18 months, it's about planting the trees and creating those habitats.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
If I may just jump in on the question, there's a question in the chat around beavers. In terms of reintroduction of beavers, it has been discussed with landowners. Some are more open to further discussions on that than others. There's nothing concrete in place at the moment. Where we're at is we've created the first version of the vision, which needs to be taken back out to the landowners to discuss exactly what we think can be achieved on the land. And that needs to fit very squarely within these farm businesses, because fundamentally it's people's land assets, it's people's livelihoods. And not only that, it's the future generation of their families' livelihoods as well. And I think once we're clear on exactly what we can do and where, any type of reintroduction for beavers would need incredibly careful planning, it would need consultation, and it would need environmental impact assessments. So at the moment, we're in, there are some ideas. I understand that there perhaps are beavers in the area. I'm not quite sure where, but at the moment, there's an idea on the table, but there's certainly nothing concrete, and it would have to go through, a full screening in order for us to progress that.
Okay, thank you, Matthew, and thank you also to Vicky. Very interesting presentation. It's nice to see greenery going in the countryside rather than other things. So thank you very much. Again, you're both most welcome to stay if you wish, but equally, if you want to go, then feel free.
Thank you very much, Alan.
Okay.
We'd like to stay and listen because we're very interested in the other agenda items.
More than welcome. Okay, so the next agenda item is listening to Rural Voices project, West of England Rural Network. Again, we're sort of aiming to try and keep within a 10-minute slot. We did have Emma Collier coming, but I know that Dick Whittington has substituted and come off the bench, so it's all yours, Dick. You're muted.
I've been doing this, all these things on Zoom for about 5 years, and you still fall over that every other time, don't you?
I think we're all very good at that.
Yeah. Mark, have you got some slides for us?
Yeah, if I come off mute, you can hear me. Yep, there we go. Yeah, I've got some slides, so let me go into share the screen for you. There's only the two.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I might get rid of them after a while.
There we go.
Right. Well, first of all, I better introduce myself. I'm Dick Whittington, genuine name, and I'm currently the title is Interim Chief Officer. I'm actually holding the fort whilst we go through a recruitment process. I'm far too old to be doing it long term. And West of England Rural Network, I hope most of you will have at least heard of it, and some of you certainly have dealt with us. But we work across the West of England, or the rural parts of it, to work with local communities, to develop facilities. We have our village agents helping particularly older people, but not just older people who need help with lifestyle problems. And we do a lot of work with village halls, community transport groups. About 1 million years ago, I was closely involved in setting up Keynsham Dial-A-Ride. So I came over to Keynsham quite a lot at that time. And we got to a stage where we've come to the end of a few projects and we're looking to refocus, and we're really looking to develop the work we do at very local level, particularly by trying to identify the issues and seeing where we can help. Really important part of our mantra, which is on the slide, on the screen somewhere, is that the way we work is very much with communities. So we don't go in and say, you must do such and such. We try and react to things that people want and help local communities do something about it. So one of the examples that I'm really proud of is helping to get village shops set up where the commercial shop has failed and the community comes together and keeps it going. I'm not sure that we've got one in this area, but Farnborough is only a few yards away, isn't it? And that was quite a recent one that we were involved in. So if we go on to the next slide, Mark, I'll say what specifically we're here to talk about. Just give you a minute, right. As I said, we're looking to do some development and refocus of what we're doing. If we get lucky, we'll get some funding from the National Lottery to support that. We're talking to them at the moment. And part of the case that I'm making is that I think with the way that political structures are developing and the government's focus on combined authorities, I think there is a danger that rural communities might get somewhat left in the margin. So I think it's really important now that we try and build the strength, or help to build the strength of the rural network. So as a first step, what we're doing is we've put together a survey to go out to rural communities. I'm sorry, but you always have to start with the survey, don't you? And my view, and I should have said at the beginning, as well as being West of England Rural Network, I'm also the treasurer of ALCA, so I'm very much got a parish council hat in as well, not in Baines, I'm over the border in North Somerset. So I may be biased, but I regard parish councils as the absolute key players in this, trying to get a stronger rural network. But the survey is intended to go to all sorts of community organisations, so parish councils certainly, village halls, and any small community group that's on our radar. And we're trying to get a picture what goes on in communities across the area, but in particular, what your view of the issues are, what's going well, where help is needed. I suspect we'll get an awful lot of people mentioning the transport word, but there are other things as well. So what we've got is a shortish survey. I think it's fairly user-friendly, I hope. It's been tested a few times, and I've had one or two parish clerks have tried it, and with success, so hopefully it'll work for the sector. That should come out to you. In fact, some of you may have had it because it's going out by all sorts of routes, but we are working with ALCA on it, and we actually coincidentally had an ALCA regional committee meeting last night, at which the chair was very enthusiastic and supportive about it and saying we must work together on this. So it will be coming out to you with the help of Barnaby, the chief officer at ALCA, who's obviously got the up-to-date parish network, parish database. And the survey needs to be completed by the 27th of March, although I'm sure we can extend that to the end of March. It shouldn't take longer than 10 minutes. Some of the questions are quite micro, like understanding what the services are in the village and things like that. And they probably are more relevant to the very small villages. For me, the most important thing to get from parish councils is your view on what you think the major issues are. So it would be really helpful if we can get that sort of feedback. I'm hoping this is one of those sort of things that you can just find somebody who's happy to do it, rather than having to go through standing orders and decide who's going to do it, and because I am a bit worried that the bureaucracy might end up taking a long time. And I honestly don't mind if we get a number of responses from a parish council. That's fine, because what we're just looking for is views. We're not giving them any great statistical weighting or anything like that. This is the first step in building a picture, which we will try and react to as the development plan works together. And we will certainly share the outcome of this research with you. I think it should be possible that we can build a picture that's individual to each of the unitary authorities, if that would help. So survey will be out with you shortly. I'd really be grateful if you could respond, and the official deadline is the 27th of March. If you want to charge ahead, then you can go to the West of England Rural Network website and find the survey on there. Or I don't know whether it's possible to do this, but you'll see there is a QR code on the on this. I think we might be. Are we actually circulating the slides, Mark? Oh,
yeah, we'll do a follow-up email within the next couple of days with all of this information on. Yeah.
So that should be a quick way to do it, if that suits you. Yeah. Okay. I think that's about all I want to say. Thanks very much for your help in advance.
Right, Dick. Thank you. I don't see any hands up, so we'll say thank you very much for your presentation. And as you say, there was a QR code, and I amazed myself by getting yours and the previous one. So I'm obviously getting better at it.
Oh, congratulations.
So, yes, thank you again, Dick. You're more than welcome to stay and enjoy the meeting, if that's not too much of a stretch.
I'll stay for the next item, if I may, because I think the speaker used to work for us as a village agent, but he'll confirm that, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Well, there we go.
Yes.
Right. So moving on then, we're now going to have local enterprise, sort of a 20-minute window, hopefully we'll keep to, two presentations under a theme of local enterprise. First, we're going to hear from Michael Alton, Community Enterprise Catalyst for Bath and North East Somerset. I'm told this organisation supports local people that wish to set up micro businesses, and it goes on a little bit, but Michael knows what he's doing, so I'm sure he will tell you all about it. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes, I worked with Dick and his team as the village agent for Midsummer Norton and Radstock, and had a fantastic time working for them. And it's a natural progression to go into the job that I'm doing now. So I'm just going to share my screen. I've got a short PowerPoint presentation. Can you all see that okay?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed it's not letting me show. Right. They are. Thank you. Yes. So, and as a village agent, I mean, we were working on front line, supporting people around the whole range of health and well-being issues, and it became very clear to me the need for people that were very much from the community, that understood the kind of care needs of people within the community. And Community Catalyst is a national CIC. We work with local authorities across the UK, supporting people to help set up their own care services or helper home services or health and wellbeing projects. And when people join our program, we take them through what we call our development program to ensure that they are doing it right, that they have the right policies in place, that they are legal, safe and sustainable in the way that they do things, and that they understand their responsibilities around the Care Act and around delivering personal care. They understand the limitations, for example, on administering medication, and also that they have the tools in place to be able to help them with their marketing and their promotion. And it's interesting that the next presenter from after me is Sue from Core Ventures, because we work very closely with Core Ventures on basically ensuring that my enterprises have all the right business support that they can get. And so it's great to both before and after my presentation, two organizations that I've worked very, very closely with. But with the development program, so we would make sure that they're properly insured, they've got a DBS certificate, have a proper adult safeguarding policy, have a proper contract with their clients, have an invoicing, and also that they understand the importance of data protection and kind of privacy. So what do micro enterprises really offer? Well, they can be personal and tailored. They're very much rooted in the community. So our mantra is very much local people helping local people in their local community. So they're very much people who have their kind of finger on the pulse and know if there are people living alone or in social isolation that may need support or help getting out and about. Enterprises can be very flexible and responsive to change, whereas if you're working, for example, with one of the larger, say, domiciliary care providers, you're often working to a very set pattern of work, whereas an enterprise can be more flexible. They increase the level of choice, and they help people not just to live but to thrive. So they're able to identify support that people might need, and we can fill the gaps in order to ensure that the quality of life of people that we're working with is at the very center of everything that we do. So it's very much about personalization, personal care, and making sure that the clients that we work with are being properly respected and have the support that they need in whatever their situation, and also provides them with independence both for customers and for enterprises. So it could be someone doing personal care, it could be someone doing kind of basic domestic duties around the house, and that could be anything from helping with decluttering to hoarding to just doing some basic cleaning. It might be doing some light preparation of food, a bit of gardening, a bit of DIY, helping with admin. That could be helping on computers, helping with online shopping, or letter writing, or things like that that people may not be able to do when they're living at home. Also, befriending. You know, as you came out of COVID, there was an awful lot of people during the COVID that felt very isolated, and it's taken a long time for people to have the confidence and the courage to come out of home back in their community again. And working with a micro enterprise allows them to be able to do that at a pace that suits them, and to get the support and the confidence that they need. It might be a dog walking. So we have a lot of the clients that our enterprises work with are elderly, and pets may be a big part of their life, but as they get older or because of health, they may not be able to get out and walk the dog very much. So again, we have enterprises that do dog walking as one of a number of activities that they do with that client. Could be prescription pickup, shopping, taking people to the hospital, or even just getting out and doing social events. So these are all really important things that are important for someone who may be living alone. So I just wanted just a quick. So we have now 34 enterprises that have completed our program, and the best way of showing you the impact of what we've done or of the support we've given is very much coming from the people who have been through our program. So,
hi, I'm Michael Orton, and I'm from Community Catalyst, working in Bath and North East Somerset. Over the last 18 months, I've helped over 32 new businesses to set up and thrive in the community.
Going self-employed is incredibly intimidating, and Community Catalyst made it very easy for me step by step to know exactly what I needed to do.
My name is Adrian, and I am a self-employed photographer.
Hi, I'm Rob Ricky, and my social enterprise is called Ricky's Wellness Coaching.
So I'm Verity. I was working nursing home work. A lot of the time it's 12-hour shifts. I didn't realise there was other options at that point in time. So I just thought I had to try and get by and pretend to be like any other normal person. What's this? Community catalysts were very integral at that point in helping me with my confidence.
Every new enterprise goes through our development program, and we help you with marketing, with networking, with understanding policies and procedures for your business, for helping to make your business a great success.
They guided me through making my CV and my portfolio to make sure that you are good to go, that you are a good carer.
The Doing It Right scheme is exactly what I needed, and if I came along any bumps along the way and confusion, Community Catalyst just helped me to understand what it was I needed to do.
They helped me establish a range of essential documents, from policies to risk registers, safeguarding to invoicing, and I show this portfolio to new clients.
Michael helped me to concentrate my business in particular ways, and he has taken my business in this particular field to a new level.
I couldn't have done it without Community Catalysts. I just wouldn't have really known where to begin.
We have a whole range of people that are part of our program. Now, going forward, one of those people could be you. If you want my support or advice, it's completely free because we are fully funded through Bath and North East Somerset. So just a quick summary, 34 enterprises that are now up and running since we launched in April 2023. 12 of those are delivering some kind of personal care service. We have 14 that do basically non-personal care helper home services. So anything from the activity of the list that I showed just now. And then we've got 8 that are doing some kind of activity, which could be health and well-being. So we have an art therapist, we have a foot health practitioner, we have a dance instructor that works around falls prevention. I have a life coach that works around pain management. And these are all activities that are very much about helping quality of life of the people that we support. So how can you help? So what am I here for today? I'm really grateful for the opportunity of talking to you about all our services. We're looking for people that are interested in setting up their own enterprise, and it could be any kind of idea that they have around health and well-being. And as long as they're servicing the people of Baines and working with the people of Baines, then I'm interested in talking to them. But you may also know someone who is interested or needing the services of an enterprise. And again, we can connect them up with the enterprises that we've already got. I'm looking at joint opportunities to work with parish councils, with town councils. So I'm very happy to come along and talk to a parish council meeting or talk to the Keynsham Town Council and just talk about the kind of work that we want to do in the Keynsham area. And then also what networking opportunities we've got now. So that's very much today. I see that as part of the networking. So I'm sure I'm keeping to my time, hopefully. And I don't know if you've got time for any questions afterwards, because I know we're talking to a quite tight. But if anyone has any questions, then please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Michael. That was very good. I think you worked quite well. I lost track of the time, so don't worry. I have one question. It seems that most of those micro setups were functioning to care for the elderly or vulnerable. Does it work at the other end for those who wish to set up to deal with children, for example?
No, I mean, we work with anyone over the age of 18, and it's generally as long as the enterprises are generally servicing older people or anyone over 18. You may work with children and adults at the same time, but you do need to work with adults. This is one of the criteria that we have for our program. And because we're funded through Baines, all of my support is totally free to the enterprises that are utilising it.
Okay. Any other questions? I can't see any hands. I don't know whether, certainly not on the screen I can see. No, there don't appear to be any other hands. So, Michael, thank you for your contribution. So we're now moving on to Sue Marchant, who is, he goes back to his script, is Managing Director of Cool Ventures, which is the council's delivery partner for business support. Sue, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Alan, and good evening, everyone. So just to put this into context, I know Michael's just talked about working with micro businesses, and we do as well. Michael and I work Michael and our company work quite closely together. So where Michael provides the technical elements of setting up sort of health and social care or help at home business, and we're working with him. So we provide the technical elements of setting up a business in general. So that's where we work together, and that's where we differ. We're sector agnostic, so we don't we're not limited to any particular sectors or ages. And I've got a presentation, so I'll just share that with you.
Okay.
I hope. So just a little bit about Core Ventures. So we're a delivery partner for Bath and North East Somerset Council, and we've been working with them, providing business support to local residents who aspire to set up their own small business, as well as local businesses. And I would have said since 2013, we've probably worked with about 3,000 or 4,000 small businesses and individuals across Bath and North East Somerset. So no mean feat, as you can imagine. I'm going to talk about two programmes. So we're a business consultancy with a difference, and the difference being is that no client will ever get an invoice from us. All our services are free to access, and we tender for funding from government, local authorities, combined authorities, just to ensure that quality support is available to everybody, regardless of whether they're sole trader, limited company, or just want to set up. So in terms of the Baines Business Support Service, it's aimed at helping aspiring entrepreneurs to start their own business. It's a perfect opportunity, perfect option for those who don't necessarily want to be employed or need to get some extra funds in from somewhere. So hobbyists, for example, who want to earn some extra cash alongside their own their employment, as well as supporting those businesses that are already trading and seeking to develop or grow. 100% subsidised, so it's completely free. We never try and sell anything to them. It's a combined authority initiative delivered in partnership with Bath and North East Somerset Council. We're halfway through the 2-year programme, so it's due to end in March 2026. And as well as a small team, employed team, so there's 7 of us at Core Ventures. We also engage with a passionate team of business experts who all run their own businesses in the areas they support, which brings real life experience to the table. I mean, personally, I'm an accountant by profession, and I couldn't tell you more than a page worth of marketing. You probably know more about marketing, so you wouldn't want me to be giving you expert advice on how to market your business when actually I'm an expert in accountancy. So in terms of eligibility, really broad eligibility to access support. Baines residents considering self-employment or just setting up a small business. Businesses based in Bath, registered and with a registered or trading office in Bath. An SME, so less than £40 million turnover and less than 250 employees, and they're actually registered for service. So basically, anybody who's looking to set up or running a business that's turning over less than £40 million, and I don't really think we've got any businesses that are turning over any more than 10 million. So it's a very broad eligibility criteria. As I said, not sector specific, not really age specific. We can work with school children as part of our social value, as long as we've got somebody in the school there to support us. So it's very broad. So in terms of what we offer, so in-person and online workshops and small group training. So we cover core topics such as social media, general marketing, digital marketing, how to improve your website, basic finance, how to start a business, how to use Canva, Sorry, there's about 30 topics that we currently cover, LinkedIn. And if there's anything that you hear that we don't cover, please come and talk to me, because we're all really, really happy to develop new topics. We have a programme for social economy, so purpose-led businesses. We support them in having how to start, and we work very closely with 3SG and Bath Social Impact Network in Bath, so that we can provide a journey of support and development to those individuals and those businesses who are running for a social purpose. Some of the bigger businesses looking to do better. We're running something called a B Corp Bootcamp, which takes businesses through the B Corp framework to enable them to get certified as a B Corp. And we're just about to launch a new carbon accounting program, which helps businesses to measure their carbon footprint and then create an action plan to reduce it. We provide one-to-one support and mentoring, peer-to-peer network groups. We run networking sessions. We alternate those between Keynsham and Midsummer Norton. There's lots of networking going on in the centre of Bath, so we try not to go into centre of Bath to run the networking. And it's an opportunity to bring together local businesses, local residents, local community groups to learn from each other and explore opportunities to collaborate. So our next event is at Keynsham Library on the 4th of April, and we're always looking for speakers to come and talk to these events. I think at the moment we've got about 40 people booked on that event, and we've still got over a month to go. So we're looking at hopefully sort of 50 to 60 bookings on that one. And there's so much support available across the region. We see ourselves as a sort of one front door, and then that will enable us to refer out to other programmes. In addition to that, in October, we were awarded another programme called HR Essentials. Now, with all the legislation coming in, businesses and employers are finding it very difficult to navigate their way through all the legislation and the red tape now thrust on employers. So this programme is really aimed at supporting those employers to become compliant and a better employer, so to providing better work for their employees. So again, it's a mayoral combined authority initiative delivered in partnership with something called the Good Employment Charter. So that charter is there to support businesses to be better employers. And we're also partnered with an organisation called the HR Dept, who are HR experts. So we oversee the programme and they deliver it for us. It's a 2-year programme. And it's due to end in September 2026. And it's been so popular so far. We've had 55 applications for this programme in the first 4 months. And what it does, it delivers the fundamentals of HR, so helping organisations to fully develop and put in place sort of HR strategies, policies and procedures, make sure they've got all their contracts in place, and make sure they can have those conversations, those phrased conversations with confidence with their employees. So it also makes the Good Employment Charter membership accessible and achievable, which when some people see it makes it's quite scary. So what's on offer? So basically it's an audit. So we, the HR department will cover a documentation audit and then create an action plan. So the business will upload all their contracts, their policies, if they've got them, and they haven't, it's not a problem. And then once they've been reviewed by the HR department, they'll provide up to 12 hours of consultancy to correct or create new documentation for those businesses. We've got some workshops, and those are all based on demand of the businesses that we're working with. So, for example, some of the issues that have been identified are around absence management and specifically around people returning to work after maternity. So we're going to be running a workshop on how to deal with absence and the conversations that are needed to be had. And then the businesses would also have a review meeting at 3 and 6 months, just to make sure that they've embedded what's been provided for them. For organisations across the west of England, for this one there is an eligibility of around a minimum turnover £100,000 and 3 full-time employees. So they could be a charity, they could be a social enterprise, but they will need to be having a turnover and employees, not just volunteers. And eligibility just needs a completion of an application form. So in order to get involved and participate, just need to enroll for the support, or just get in touch with us, just talk to us. We're really, really keen to involve as many people as possible. This is taxpayers' money. We want to give value back to the local community. So the more we can talk to people and local organisations about what's needed and what the local people want, we can make sure that we can deliver that for them, so it meets demand as opposed to what we think people need. Thank you.
That's the end, Sue, is it?
It is the end, yeah.
That's okay. Any questions of Sue? Chris Hounsell.
It's not a question, it's a thank you very much, because
thank you.
Cool Ventures have been supportive of Salford Business Network from the very start of us working together as a network almost, was it 11 years ago? So I can certainly say that they've always delivered what they've offered. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for your support with us as well.
So I think you've basically given the answer, but essentially you will work with any micro business.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
as long as they're based across Bath and North East Somerset.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So we've got a business advisor on the ground. So community business advisor who can provide just general support, almost like your business GP. And then she can then refer to the workshops or to a business expert if that's what's needed in order for the individual or the business to move forward.
So you can register and dip in and dip out. Is that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Right. No other questions or commendations that I can see. So again, thank you, Sue, very much. Very interesting presentation, and hopefully you will get some approaches. Thank you. Right. So we are moving on now then. The next sort of topic is the Keynsham Town Centre Action Plan, which we've given sort of 15-minute window to, and it's to welcome Caroline Lightfoot, who is the Senior Development Officer at Bath and North East Somerset Council. So, Caroline, you're in the frame.
Great, thank you very much. Mark, have you got my presentation to share?
Yes, Caroline. Yeah, sorry,
okay,
I was on mute there. I'll just open that one up for you.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Fine. There we go. And
do a bit of community singing while we wait.
I was going to say, yeah.
Here we go. There we
Lovely.
go.
Yeah, you can move forward to the next one, because that's just the start. Yeah, placing.
Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of trouble. I'm on dual screen and it keeps flipping back and forth. So there we go. Right.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah. So as Alan said, yeah, I'm Caroline Lightfoot from the Baines Regeneration team, and we've been working with Keynsham Town Council to produce a town centre regeneration action plan. So it's in draft form at the moment. And it's been guided by existing policy, so things like the economic strategy, transport strategy, green infrastructure framework, and the local plan, of course. And we've been working closely with colleagues within Baines on these, so they've had quite a lot of input to it as well. And as things are sort of developing more with the local plan, we've been working very closely with those colleagues in particular. And it's also been developed learning from the High Street Heritage Action Zone project, which finished last year. And that had sort of feedback from the community as well. So that sort of gave us a good starting point to look at projects to move forward. So it will be focusing on improvements to the vitality and viability of the town centre, and it's linked to the WECA Emerging Local Growth Plan, and also to the planned housing growth for the area. And it will identify opportunities and develop a programme of projects and include baseline work to secure funding for those projects. And the projects will be agreed through engagement, which is taking place in May and June. So in the library from the 21st of May to the 4th of June, there will be some panels up with information. There will be an online survey, which will continue till the 20th of June as well. And during that time, there will be two business and stakeholder sessions. So one on 23rd of May from 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock, and the other on the 30th of May from 1 till 5. So hopefully that will give people an opportunity to come along and have their say. And it will also be available online, and we'll be sort of publicising it jointly with the Town Council beforehand. Next slide, please. So yeah, this is the area that we're sort of focusing on, but it's not totally everything within that line, because the park and the weir are included as a project. So anything that links to that central area we'll be considering in the action plan, and of course that might change after the consultation. So next slide, please, Mark. Thank you. So these are the projects that we'll be consulting on. So the first one is improved wayfinding. So sort of looking at the signage in the town centre and improved connections within that area. More high street greening, and also to establish maintenance arrangements for existing planted areas and for new planting that goes in there. And then there's opportunity for public realm improvements in Temple Street, and that will be potentially to deliver the final phases of that improvement project. And also shopfront improvements, building on the Heritage Action Zone project. And then repurposing of vacant and unused units. So that will also be sort of looking at the Riverside area and the council owned units there, which are being marketed at the moment. And we've had a couple of people drop out, unfortunately, but we're sort of continuing to market those. Then active travel, we'll be sort of looking at cycle repair stations, potentially cycle routes through the park, and also potential for electric bike and scooter schemes in the area. And we'll also be looking at arts, culture and events, continuing again from the Heritage Action Zone project, and sort of making more use of Riverside Square, and sort of building on the events programme that's supported by Keynsham Town Council. And then we'll be looking at pedestrian priority. Our transport team have got cabinet approval to look at that further. So they'll be working on that in the coming months. And also we'll be looking at Upper High Street public realm improvements. I've already been speaking to St John's Church about their plans for that site. And it also ties into the Bath to Bristol Strategic Corridor project, which will be sort of working on public realm improvements to that Upper High Street area. And then community space, you know, I know that it's lacking within Keynsham, so we'll be looking at where we could provide that, and that could potentially be in some of the new housing areas that are being proposed under the local plan. And also the Memorial Park and weir, we'll be sort of looking to deliver improvements there and to potentially remove the weir. So and signage and lighting as well in that area. I think next slide, Mark. I think and the deal project will link to other things that are happening. So we're including the old fire station and some of the transport work, which I've already mentioned some of it. The reuse shop that's doing a good job, recycling centre, and also business support, some of the stuff that Sue's already mentioned. So and I think I've got one more slide, but I think I've covered most of that in there, Mark. So I think if anybody's got any questions, then I'm happy to take them.
Any questions, folks? I'm rather interested in one point, Caroline. The removal of the weir in the park. How will that happen and what effect will that have on the river through the town?
I don't know any of the answers to that just yet, because it's something that one of my colleagues has just started to work on, to be honest. So it's very early stages, but I think it's to do with there's a problem with some of the fish not being able to move through the river, and I think that's the reason for it. But it's at very early stages yet, so there's no actual plans yet.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any Adrian.
Thank you, Alan. I say that was a really interesting presentation, and there's a lot to look forward to going on in Keynsham, mostly for the good, if I'm honest. I think, though, for me, the initial thing is about consultation and bringing people on side with those changes. One of the massive failings in anything that's been done at present, particularly Keynsham High Street and what's been done in Temple Street, is that it failed to bring people along with them. And when there's been problems raised, legitimate problems raised, there's been a failure to listen. And I think it's crucial that if you're going to go out and talk to people and consult, you actually listen and take note of what they're saying. Not necessarily always provide what they want, of course, not saying that. But if you don't, you need to provide explanations, reasons why, stuff like that. Not just saying, well, the computer says no. Guideline says this is how it has to be. But if you've had 150 people falling down in Keynsham High Street, anybody with a common sense would tell you that perhaps something ain't quite right there. We need to do something about it. So, you know, I welcome what you're doing. I think it's brilliant. It really could enhance Keynsham. But all I seriously say is engage perfectly with people and listen to people when you get that feedback.
Yeah, we certainly plan to do that.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you.
Any other hands going up? I can only see one screen. Mark, can you see the other one, or?
Yeah, Councillor Duncan.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and very happy with pretty well all of it. One thing I would just say, as a word of caution, is you talked about the A4 strategic corridor. Just to make you aware, you probably are aware already that the Wycombe Mayor has suspended work on the bus lanes, and I know that a lot of the Keynsham councillors and I'm a Salford councillor very unhappy really about WECA's proposals, which included this idea of a hub and as you know, cycle access through the park. We've got a wonderful park. These proposals have been very, very unpopular locally. So I just don't want you to get into, you know, diverted by, you know, an unpopular action when most of what you presented is excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I believe that they'll be consulting on that further in the coming months. So we'll be working closely with them, and so they will be listening to what people have to say.
That's rewarding because they haven't up to now, but there we go.
We could always hope.
Any other?
No other hands at the moment, Alan.
No. Okay. Caroline, thank you very much. As has been said, that was a very interesting presentation. And I hope that things will go the right way to please most of the people all of the time. And thank you very much for coming along. Thank you. Okay. just moving on now, and goodness me, I think we're almost on time. That can't be bad. I shall speak quickly. Priorities for future meetings. Obviously, those who plan these meetings are open to any suggestions you might have for future agendas. You know, it's not a case of this is what you're coming to talk about. It's a case of asking you what you want to come to talk about. So please don't be reluctant to offer up topics for suggestions to Alison, Sarah, Mark. They will all be ready to take those on board. I'm told here, where I'm just to help guide your thoughts, we included some topic headings from a recent survey of parishes on the agenda. They were asked to tell us the top 3 priorities for their communities. For the Keynsham area, the responses in priority order were transport, economic development, community safety, older people. I don't know whether that means we want more of them. I'm doing my best. Climate and nature, health and well-being, sustainable communities, children and young people. So, you know, that might give you some idea of the sort of topics that you might want to talk about. And as I say, they will be only too pleased to receive suggestions. We'll put the email address in the chat and in the follow-up. And also, if any organisations would like to take part in the community showcase item to highlight their work, a project, or to share good practice, please do let us know. We also welcome suggestions from people and organisations that should be invited to join the forum on the mailing list. All area forum meetings are also open to the public, so please do share the information about the meetings with anyone who would be interested in agenda items. So
I don't know if you can see, but David Biddleston's had his hand up for some time. So
David, I've been trying to ignore you. Sorry about that. All yours, David.
One of the words that I think would be a topic very close to all of our hearts at the moment wasn't mentioned, Alan, and that would be housing. I think we would welcome the opportunity to have a frank discussion about housing and home creation, especially for our younger people.
Yeah, fully agree with that. Social housing is lacking, and perhaps one of the sort of people that we might like to bring along is somebody representing Curo, somebody who represents Curo and can make decisions. So perhaps Mark can make a note of that, Mark, for the future.
Definitely, we've got connections. Yeah, we can certainly arrange that, Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else, Dave, that you think would be appropriate in that same sort of area?
Might be interesting for people to hear a little bit from AQUIS, the Baines housing development arm. They might be useful to come along and explain what they'll be doing.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Duncan, you've got your hand up, yeah?
Yeah, just a quick one. It might be a good idea to try to bring along somebody from the planning department who are working on the local plan, because there's going to be options for where housing development goes in the next 20 years, and I'm sure Keynsham and Salford could be in the mix. So that would be very helpful.
Okay. And Mark will no doubt make a note of that as well. He's got his pencil in his hand.
I do.
Okay, so my last bit of reading. There's going to be a bit of a break in the pre-election period for the Weka mayor elections in May, because there will be this period of purdah, so-called. And our next meeting will be in June. So look forward to that, folks. As previously requested, though, we will have a new start time of 6:30 for the meetings going forward. So 25th of June is in the Keynsham Community Centre, or Community Space, I should say. And that's, for those who don't know, I'm sure most do, but it's the area above the library. And just to be sure that 25th of June is an alteration to the previously advertised date of the 23rd. And then on the 15th of September, again, the community space. And then on the 17th of November, we'll drop back to this format. I think what we're feeling is that it saves people coming out late into the evening on dark evenings. If we can start at 6:30, it's still going to give us some daylight by the time we finish. So that really is it, folks. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your good order. And I was going to say, have a safe journey. Well, to those who presented, have a safe journey home. Everybody else, go steady on the stairs. All right. Bye, everybody. And thank you, Mark, for doing the necessary.
You're welcome, Alan. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Bye.